On today's live daily news, it's raining in San Angelo, so you know what that means, crashes. But don't worry, the DPS office is back open on the loop. Plus today is 9/11, and you'll get to hear our Congressman August Pfluger's personal story on that tragic day. All this and more. I'm Matt Trammell, and this is Live. This show is brought to you by Hartman Roofing. Just like the live daily news show, Hartman Roofing are the local guys you can trust. Don't believe me? Well, at Hartman Roofing, the proof is in the roof. From residential houses to commercial buildings, Hartman Roofing is the roofer you can trust to do it right the first time. To get a quote today, call Hartman Roofing at 325-653-2888. And now on to the news. We start the show today with news that everybody has been talking about. Monday morning kicked off with rain, so you know what that means. Crashes. This morning, the morning started at around 8 o'clock as San Angelo police were called to the intersection of Loop 306 and Knickerbocker Road in front of the old Sitel building. On scene, our reporters confirmed that two SUVs had crashed into one another on that slick roadway. There was an injury in this crash. Later in the afternoon, the crashes just continued to roll in. At around noon, Texas DPS troopers were called out to the intersection of US 87 and Broadnax for a crash involving a Tahoe pulling a boat. Once on scene, the troopers found that the Tahoe had been T-boned in the intersection by a truck. As a result of the crash, the boat did come off the trailer. The highway was shut down for at least an hour as the 15-foot bass boat was stretched across the road. It is unclear if anyone was hurt, but an ambulance was called to the scene and left with its light on. And just in time for all this chaos to happen, the local Texas DPS office reopened their doors after being closed for about a week. We told you last week that due to a software issue, all of the Texas DPS offices were closed. Software update over the Labor Day weekend led to the system completely failing, but don't worry folks, it's back open, so if you need to renew your license, now's the time to do it. Moving back into weather, let's actually break down some of those rain totals. Showers started this morning at around 7 and continued until about 10:30. During those showers, the National Weather Service is reporting that we got about 2/100ths of an inch, a disappointing total. Don't worry though, folks, because there is more on the way. There are extremely high chances every day this week, but be expecting those showers to hit tonight pretty hard. Expect those showers to kick off at around 10 or 11 o'clock, but of course, we'll keep you updated on how the rain's going to be every day this week on the live daily news show. And finally, the Angelo State Rams lost their home opener on Saturday, but don't worry fans, this loss won't mean much in their hopes for a national title. Ryan Chadwick has more on the Rams in a second, but first, a quick message from the Bass Bunch.
Save big on our great selection of trucks during our demo sale at Jim Bass Ford. Like the Ford F-150. With an available 360-degree camera package that helps you spot obstacles. And with Sync 4 technology, designed to listen and respond. And we're here to keep your F-150 at peak performance with expert service after the sale.
The Angelo State Rams fell in a top 5 matchup to the Colorado School of Mines 31-21 in San Angelo last Saturday. Despite leading for much of the game, the Rams were unable to hold on to victory. Head coach Jeff Gersh held his weekly press conference at the Janelle Center earlier this morning to talk about his team's performance last weekend and what he expects from Central Washington on Saturday. Let's take a look.
All right, Coach, let's just talk about Gardner a little bit more. Of course, it was his second start at ASU after transferring in. What do you like seeing from him? How is his growth going so far? What do you think he's starting to do to take that next step?
Sure. It's reps with him. He was here for spring and had camp, this offseason. He did a great job this summer working with our receivers and doing that. He's so calm and collected. He doesn't get rattled. He's been hit before, getting sacked and that kind of stuff where he was at previously. And then here he's getting protected a little bit better, but at the same time, he's getting a lot of pressure at him, and he's done a good job of really working the pocket, stepping up in there and making some big-time throws. And we're going to see him continue to develop and get better and better. Coach Kilmer, our offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, does an outstanding job developing players. And just with his tutelage on that part of it, he's going to get better and better throughout the season. And he's already really good right now. We're blessed to have him here, and I'm excited to see where he takes us.
Coach, talking about your defense heading into this week, you said Central Washington likes to run the football. Do you feel like your D-line and your linebackers are built for this? Because it seems like this is what they practice against every week.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be y'all's advantage going into this week?
Well, no, there's no doubt. I think we have a really good defense. We've been solid, for the last couple of years here on defense, and this year's group is no different. I feel like teams that want to line up and just run the ball at us a lot, that's tough to do. But I would also say it's tough to throw it at us, all day too. So, I'm excited about this group. Our defense has, been proven over the last couple of years, and I think that it's a great game plan going in for us. Teams like to run it at us. We usually do a pretty good job of stopping that.
And Coach, just for everyone out there, what do you think the one key to bring home that first conference victory is this weekend?
It's going to be being consistent on both sides of the ball. Going out and not doing too much, but doing your job, just doing what you have to do to get things done, and that's the biggest thing. The Lone Star Conference is a long, tough conference, so we got to go out there and take it one game at a time and go out as a business trip and get lined up and play football the way we're used to playing it, and being consistent in both what we're doing offensively and defensively and on special teams.
Gersh complimented his quarterback and likes the progression Gardner has shown so far in the season. Gardner will need another big performance this Saturday as the Rams hit the road to Ellensburg. Kickoff is scheduled for 8 p.m. on Saturday. And of course, for more sports around the Concho Valley and beyond, be sure to check in every day at sanangelolive.com/sports.
Ew, that's so gross.
Right now, get 15% off carpet cleaning from Carpet Tech.
Ew, that's so gross.
Right now, get 15% off carpet cleaning from Carpet Tech.
All right, welcome back to the show. Today's interview segment comes from today's 9/11 memorial at San Angelo's Celebration Bridge. During the ceremony, Congressman August Pfluger gave his personal testimony on where he was that tragic day. The message was so good, I wanted to bring it to you guys. So with that, here is Congressman August Pfluger. Enjoy.
Well, good morning. Mayor Gunter, what wonderful words for us today. And I echo your gratefulness and thankfulness for those that have come out today. We are grateful for the rain, but to have this type of crowd today that is remembering an event that changed not just the United States of America, but changed the world is so important. And so I'll start by saying thank you to all those that helped organize this, including Chief Brody, the San Angelo Fire Department, and y'all help me give them a huge round of applause for their efforts today. And we're surrounded by men and women today, first responders, military personnel, community leaders, who know what it means to be a servant, who have lived the life of a servant, whose families have supported us in being able to do that. And we gather here to solemnly commemorate a day that's been etched into the annals of our nation's history, September 11th, 2001. And 22 years ago, our world was forever changed by an act of terror that shook the very foundations of our society, that shook the foundations of the entire world, in fact. And on that fateful day, thousands of innocent lives were lost. Countless others were forever scarred. The first responders that responded inside New York City are still facing the effects of that through the various impacts on their own health from the burning buildings that day. As chairman of the Homeland Security Committee on Intelligence and Counterterrorism, this is a particularly, I think, thoughtful day for myself and brings a profound sense of duty and solemnity. It's a responsibility that weighs heavily, not just on my heart, but on those that I'm surrounded by right here on this stage, knowing that we must remain vigilant in the face of the evolving threats that we see throughout the world. I recently had the opportunity to go to New York City, this summer in fact, and I visited Ground Zero, visited the memorial, which is absolutely beautiful. And if you haven't done that, I would urge you to go and to see where the World Trade Center stood, to see the site with all of the names that are etched into the sides of these absolutely beautiful waterfalls that remember for eternity the names of those innocent lives that were lost. And in the museum that stands there to help us remember in days like today, 22 years later, where I think it's so important for us as a community to not just remember what happened on that day, but to teach our kids and to teach the next generation about, yes, the tragedy, but more importantly, how this nation responded, how these men and women that I am surrounded by that are in our crowd today, how we as a nation responded to this act of this horrible, tragic, and evil act of terror. And I think when you look back at that day and you think about the goal of those who carried out the horrific acts, their goal was to defeat the spirit of America. Their goal was to defeat the very red, white, and blue that our flag stands for. And they couldn't have miscalculated the American spirit any worse. Because on that very day, just like the mayor said, you saw thousands, millions of Americans coming together to support each other, coming together to help rescue those in the burning buildings, coming together to help bring our sense of society and community together. You know, it was on that day that I think we as Americans stood out. The very best of America stood out. The very best in our society that our founders envisioned for our country stood out. It didn't matter what political party you believed in. It didn't matter what language you may have spoken before you got to the United States, or what religion you were, or what color you were. We were all red, white, and blue that day. That's the kind of country that I know we can be. And unfortunately, it took a tragedy to bring us together. But I think that spirit is still alive. You know, just this morning, my 8-year-old daughter was watching the news with me, and she said before she went to school, well, what happened? Where were you on this day? We all remember, well, most of us here remember where we were that day. I was just south of here in Del Rio, Texas, about to finish pilot training. In fact, we were 4 or 5 days away from figuring out what airplane we would go on to fly. That day changed my entire professional career. It changed the career of Colonel Carroll. It changed the careers of many on this stage and many in the crowd. It changed the careers of those at Goodfellow Air Force Base, right here in San Angelo. But on that day, we all remember what it meant to us, the feeling of pride we had in this country. And I told my 8-year-old, Juliana, I said, and my wife explained to her that because of that, many people were called into action. Many people were deployed. And she said, Dad, were you deployed? And I said, yes. In fact, I was several times to a variety of locations, just like hundreds of thousands of other service members. And our first responders throughout the country, folks that work in Border Patrol, the customs agents. I was just there this morning. I talked to a leader at the CBP office right here at Mathis Field. And I said, where were you on 9/11? And he said, I was on the Outer Banks in North Carolina. I had just graduated from Virginia Tech, and I wanted to be a golf course superintendent. And because of that day, he was 3 months removed from college, entering a career that he thought he was going to do for the rest of his life. And the day, the moment that happened, he said, I knew I had to do something different, so I joined the Coast Guard. Well, he just retired from the Coast Guard a couple of months ago and is now stationed here as part of the Customs and Border Protection right here at Mathis Field, continuing to keep our country safe. That day changed things for every American. It changed the life of a family of a good friend of mine, Tamara Archuleta from New Mexico. She was in my pilot training class. I graduated with her in September of 2001. We finished pilot training together in Del Rio, Texas. She went on to fly helicopters. And unfortunately, she was the very first casualty, the very first air casualty in Afghanistan in 2003. She was on a rescue mission, saving other people, doing what her country had asked her to do in the mountains of Afghanistan on a very, very tough condition day, where she was not just in her first rescue mission of that day, but in subsequent rescue missions where she had been transporting ground troops to safety. You know, there's a saying that most gave some, but some gave all. I remember Tamara Archuleta today. I remember her family who still lives in New Mexico today. And because of her sacrifices, our country is a safer place. Our world is a safer place. I'd ask each of you to continue today to look at these flags, to see ourselves in a different light 22 years later, as stronger, as more committed to this great country, the opportunities that it affords us, and with the solemn responsibility to teach the next generation what it means to have your own freedom and the very essence and core of our country attacked, yet to emerge stronger. Mayor Gunter, Chief Brody, Judge Carter, Sheriff Hanna, Chief Frank Carter, Colonel Carroll, and all of our servant leaders in this community, thank you for helping remember this day by refocusing our thoughts on the things that really matter. And I'm not sure that anything matters more than those who are willing to serve, whether as first responders or in the military, and their families who allow those servants to do their jobs. Thank you for being here today.
When it comes to unique pieces you can't find anywhere else, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is your one-stop shop. With over 24 years in the diamond and coin industry, Kano's Diamonds and Coins is West Texas's choice for diamonds, jewelry, coins, silver, and gold. Owner Bill Kano stands by his work and offers free consultations, including estate jewelry. Don't just trust anyone with your valuables. Come see the staff at Kano's at 1016 West Beauregard in San Angelo. And that's it for the 9/11 special of the Live Daily News show today. We want to always remember, never forget that day, even though some of us, like myself who are 25, don't even remember it really in real life. But it's still important to look back every year and show what American pride is when we all come together for one common goal. This is a Live Daily News. We're here every weekday during the 4 o'clock hour. We're going to be giving you all the news plus an interview to get you through. For everybody here at the team, I'm Matt Trammell. We will see you guys tomorrow.